Nestled in the heart of historic downtown Wilkesboro, the 1915 offers a wedding experience like no other. Once a federal courthouse and post office, the 1915 combines rich history with timeless charm. From intimate gatherings to full-day rentals, we provide the perfect backdrop for your most cherished moments. With indoor and outdoor options, bridal and groom suites, every detail is crafted just for you. Make your wedding unforgettable at the 1915, Wilkesboro's historic wedding venue, where your story begins.
Closed captions for this episode of Life in Wilkes is brought to you by Deal Insurance Agency in Wilkesboro, an award-winning, experienced, family-owned and operated agency with service and coverage that goes above and beyond expectations.
Join us on a captivating journey as we explore the charm, history, and vibrant culture of Wilkes County. Discover the hidden gems, inspiring stories, and remarkable people that make Wilkes a place worth knowing and celebrating. Join us now and experience the unique essence of life in Wilkes.
Good morning, Richard. Angela from Wilkes County Hardware Store. I finally got it right.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I say Wilkes Hardware Store, and then you have Wilkes, but it's Wilkes County Hardware Store.
That is correct.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that it took a minute, right?
No, and there's still people that
What do they call it?
Wilkes Hardware.
Wilkes Hardware?
Yeah, but that's okay. They know what we're talking. They know what we're talking about.
You don't deny their business, do you?
Oh no.
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 they could call it the people with a chicken hat. You know, that brand on your hat, Richard, that chicken, it's not your logo, but it's certainly identified with your business. And we were talking about that. And you said it's the heritage, right? It gives an homage to that.
Right. That's exactly right.
And for those who haven't met you two before, you're the owners of Wilkes County Hardware. You were the, fourth owner? Third, fourth?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
The fourth owners, and each period was very distinct and had story around it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we talked about a lot of those things.
That's true.
But it all started out as a chicken processing plant, right?
Yeah, an early rough chicken processing plant.
Yeah.
Not what we're used to today.
No, well, it was a long time ago,
Yeah,
right?
early 1900s.
I remember our first talk about that and where the turkeys were being herd down the street, and then the chickens. Somebody told me chickens couldn't be herded. Who was it said that? Did Gerald Langford said that? I mean, you can kind of scoot them along, but to herd a whole group of them, evidently turkeys have an inherent ability that chickens don't have.
Right.
So you got to pick them up, put them in a container. But you don't deal with chickens anymore.
No, we do.
No.
That's just part of the heritage. So the hat and your logo on the shirt, which is identifiable, but the chicken is because it is on the side of the building, and with good reason.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, that's what I want to talk about today. I was so excited when I came in a few days ago. Couple of reasons I've come in. We've had cold weather in Wilkes County. Everybody knows that. But my car wouldn't start because my key fob wouldn't work. And I was like, my car's broke. I was like, did the battery run dead? What happened? Because I always am careful, to make sure everything's turned off and the light. I'm even one of those people that'll turn around and make sure that I don't have the dome light. I didn't, click the button on and then it would run down. I mean, the cars now probably don't run down from that, but I always look and I'll stand there and wait for the light to go off sometimes. And obviously that's only when it's dark, when you get home and it's dark. And do you ever do that?
Not lately, but I have.
You have in the past.
Yeah, but
how long did it take you to get over that? Because I'm trying to just not think about that anymore.
we don't have that kind of time.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that's right. Well, it was cold, as you know, this week. It's been really cold. So I was like, ooh, and that's why I thought I made a mistake because I didn't look back this week. I mean, it's like, 15 degrees. So it's like, I'm not going to stand there and look and wait for the light to go off. So that's why I thought I made a mistake. And I'm like, well, the fob wouldn't work. And I'd never had a battery go dead on the fob before. But I had remembered our conversation about whatever we were talking about one day, keys. And I think you had mentioned that you may be getting into adding fobs to your fabulous line of
Wow. Wow. That was good. That was good. Can we use that?
Oh, sure.
Yes, we had a discussion about we were going to we're looking to expand our key offering as far as key fobs maybe, and the laser type cut keys and, things like that, special type keys.
Oh, well, that's going to require that laser machine. You'd have to get a machine, right?
Yeah, you gotta have a specific machine.
Are there enough of those keys now in the county?
Oh, yes.
So laser cut keys are a thing now.
Yeah. Most of your new cars have that type of key, whether it's it's an internal cut that looks like a river sort of, or
it's that key that's in our fob now, right?
Yeah, basically.
Right.
Yeah. And then of course we're really gonna look at this hard when we go to the hardware show.
Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that. You guys are going to New Orleans. Excuse me. Going to New Orleans. You're going to eat some food from New Orleans. Yeah, beignets. How many? When you go every year, right?
Well, it's not always in New Orleans.
But often.
This will be our third trip there in 10 years.
To New Orleans.
To New Orleans for the hardware show.
So this is the hardware show that's more designed toward the particular hardware sector that you're in, right?
Right. We deal with our wholesaler is Oracle, and they put together a hardware show every year.
Okay.
Typically, they used to do 2 a year. They have one in the spring, one in the fall.
Right.
Then after the pandemic and everything, and they decided they would just cut it to one, basically.
To one.
Yeah, one. And then they have some online buying events and things like that. They it's evolved. It's coming to but it's
that's kind of smart though, isn't it? I mean, if you go once a year and you get to see everybody and have a good time and have some beignets and some flavor of the community, and then you meet all your cohorts, people who are doing what you're doing, which I like a lot, because you have. When we say an old hardware store, I mean, you guys aren't old, but you're in an old building. It's what do you call what you do? Your particular niche in the hardware world, because you're in this old building. You're the not fourth generation, but fourth owner over 100 years, right? That people have had a business there. So there are other places like that around the Carolinas and around the country that are in old buildings, and it has a lot of history attached to it.
Correct.
Is that called something? Is that sector, is it just independent? What do you call it?
We would be an independent hardware store.
Independent hardware store.
We're not a big box. We're not we're not one of the big boxes. We're not an Ace. We're not affiliated with Ace or anything like that. We're just
independent.
We're just an independent hardware.
Right.
And you can be an independent dealer with just one store, or you can have a whole. You could have 5 or 10 or 15. But
okay.
When you get 100 or so, you're probably going to start becoming a little bit more of a chain. It might be a regional deal, but
right. Can you imagine having 100, but Wilkes Hardware? Well, if you put one in every corner of the county, they might let you put one in Elkin, maybe too. I don't know. Surrey County. I mean, would they? I mean, could you?
You would.
Wilkes County Hardware. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
that might be a little problematic.
But the idea is that you get to go to this gathering, and it's more than just choosing your products for the year. It's also meeting other people who are doing what you're doing, right?
Right. So I'll lay it out a little bit. I'll try to lay it out. So you're looking at a convention center there in New Orleans. It's about 1 million square feet. Right. There's going to be 1,000 vendors there. So that was the people could buy from, whatever,
sure.
They'll probably be, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 dealers. That's what Oracle calls
buyers.
Dealers.
Right.
We're a dealer.
You're a dealer.
We're a dealer, whether we have one store or 10 or whatever.
Okay.
And you go to the show to look at new things. Mm-hmm. get deals. A lot of times they have show specials and things like that. You can get things at a discount and, ways to save your money and, increase your sales. And then it just so happens that it's going to be in New Orleans, and New Orleans is a great city, and they've great food and great things to do. So yeah, it's business, but you try to work some play in there too.
A little fun time.
Yeah, fun time.
A little fun time. That's
a lot of good food.
A lot of good food. So Richard's being a little reserved now on the food conversation. You're not, because you love the food.
The food.
And I'm sure you're taking pictures of the food, right? You do some pictures.
I will, yes.
Yeah, you got to do that. But while you outwardly express your love and appreciation for food and food diversity, Richard is reserved in his outward expression of it. However, his involvement with the diversity of food is evident and celebrated, right?
He'll be all in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
What's your favorite food in New Orleans?
Oh gosh. That's a hard one.
Do you like the real spicy foods?
I like some of it. Some of it can be a little crazy.
Yeah.
But I like, this is a good place and time to go and try some new, different things. I have a line that but I don't know where that line's at yet.
Right. Okay.
But when I think of New Orleans, the first thing I think of is beignets.
Right.
I mean, that's my sweet tooth talking.
Yeah. You do it with coffee or tea? What do you?
Coffee. You get, you can go to Cafe Du Monde. It's
iconic.
It's very iconic.
In the French Quarter.
In the French Quarter. But, like I said, this will be our third trip there.
To New Orleans.
And I don't think we've had a bad meal yet. And
not
a couple.
down there.
One place that we really liked for like it was a lunch place. It unfortunately closed, so we won't be able to go back there. But we've got one place that we like to go, and then we're looking to maybe look for some different places.
Yeah, there you go. Stretch out. Have you been doing research, Angela? Have you been checking out the reviews online and saying, hey, we need to check this out? It won't be too far from where we're staying, right?
Yes.
You're going to do that? Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of those. When I was visiting your shop the other day, we talked about places or people that you meet along the way and over the years who have a similar business profile to yours. In other words, their business is also in a historic building and it has history, because that's a little unique for what you have, because you've got a wood fireplace, you've got a place to sit, people come and there's conversation. You got a lot of people that just come and get stuff, right? But there's also an enormous amount of conversation.
Oh, there's always conversation.
And your environment makes it conducive for that, right?
Right.
So what are some of your memories or people that you've met over the years who have a similar type business in an old building?
I think it's probably a little varied because the hardware industry is so varied now.
Right.
We have met a couple of folks from New Bern, Mitchell Hardware, when we have traveled.
Right.
And the owners there are two younger ladies, and they have taken over their dad's business. And so we have we haven't actually saw them at the show though.
No, but they buy from the same group.
Right.
They buy from the same group that we do. Their building is
significantly older than
yours.
It's set in downtown New Bern.
Yeah, it's like a block or two from Tryon Palace.
Okay.
And it kind of
and it's probably
I would have
through. Yeah.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Their building's probably at least 200 years old, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
So, them. I mean, not so many folks that we meet with old buildings, but they might be in it's not I don't know.
Maybe a more of a downtown setting, like B&W Hardware.
Oh, sure.
Lake Forest.
Downtown Lake Forest.
It's still a curated event because there's something different about, say, your place and then older buildings. Tim, what was that? There's a place you've always been wanting me to go to Turner
Hardware, yeah. And
Turner Hardware. In Mooresville.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've been around a lot.
Oh, yeah, they've been around a lot. Yeah.
And, 100 years, that same mark. Do you know them people?
I don't know them, but I know where they're at and
Right.
seen it, and it's I mean it's
in Charlotte. There's an old hardware store.
Davis.
too.
There's Davis.
Yeah, there's one in Charlotte in that kind of Park Road area. So there's an old hardware store there, and then there's several of them around the Carolinas. Mm-hmm. But the point is, when you're in that type of a space that has so much history, you're responsible for more than just getting inventory in.
Right.
Yeah.
People come for that experience, don't they?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we hear that a lot. They walk in and, they'll be like, oh, this reminds me when I was, my grandfather was alive and he used to take me to such and such.
Right.
And wherever that might be. And it was an old hardware store somewhere. And they talk about wood floors or the fire, the coal stove that they had there or whatever. So we hear that a lot.
Did you think about that when you bought the business? Were you mindful of the fact that, we're going to be basically in a bit of a museum running a business, with current products, because your deal to open up is not as simple as opening the door and hitting the button for the furnace or the air conditioner to go on, right?
First of all, we don't have an air conditioner. Opening the door is the air conditioner.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that was when we were buying it, we were like, okay, this is an old business. How can we keep that, but still offer the modern things and things, because a lot of people say, well, why don't you just keep all the old stuff? And it's like, well, if you want to stay in business, you got to stay current.
Right. With what people need now.
Because just, and every now and then we get people, they're coming in and they're wanting, well, I bought this 40 years ago. And it's like, and I can't find it anywhere. I just figured you'd have it because you're such an old hardware store. I'm like, if that was our business model, we wouldn't be here anymore.
Right.
So we have to keep current. And that's why we go to the hardware show.
Right. I would imagine a lot of that just it deals with what's actually available. So something that was bought 50, 60 years ago, that particular thing has probably evolved, or you just can't get it anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So you have to deliver that message occasionally.
Yeah. We hear that all, and it's like, okay, and I'm thinking, I've never heard of that product. I've never, and it's like,
Right.
if it was that popular, we would probably try to have it, right?
Right.
If we kept hearing it.
How many people come to the hardware store to get keys made? And while you're making a key, because you make most of the keys, right, Richard? So you're back making a key, and then they're milling around, and then they see other things that they want. So they pick those things up while they're waiting for the key.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Happens a lot.
It happens a lot. That's one of the things. I mean, it doesn't take that long to make a key typically,
Right.
But that would be the hope is, they come in there for a key and then they're just wandering around and then, they're like, oh, well, I didn't know you had this, or I need that. That reminds me, I need this.
Right.
Maybe they walk out, but then maybe they don't. Maybe they just get the key, but they come back.
Do you find that people, because you do give that concierge service, I suppose, and when it's the key in other words, they're not putting it in a machine,
No.
They're not having to do that. Is that convenience? Do people talk about that? Gee, I just really like the fact that you just do it. I don't have to try to figure it out.
I think so. I think there's a lot of frustration that some of the box stores now have gone to the little machines.
Oh, sure.
Sometimes the keys work and sometimes they don't, or they can't find anybody to help them if they have a question. So, or their key that they have, they can't get a key made. So they're like, where do I go? And so they come see us and they can get a key done.
Nice.
Yes.
So the key to keeping traffic going is to have keys.
The key to keep
The key.
Keys.
Oh,
I
my
see what you
goodness.
did there. I saw what you did
I
there.
didn't mean to. It just came out.
slipped out.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to New Orleans. Are you always looking for a little something new to bring back? One day I was at your shop and the shipment of stuff came in. Now, I finally understood why Richard's so quiet. Because when I come in, I normally say, "Hey, how y'all doing?" And then you and I are talk, or I'll talk to one of your people, and then Richard will just be like laser focused. He doesn't know hi, how you do, nothing. He just be like, and just going to doing that. And I'm like, what is he doing? Why is he mad? And then.
Not mad.
Well, you're very. I mean,
So
you don't bother to.
focused,
I mean,
yes.
you're very direct, like it's like one of those robots, just programmed to go over and do this. So I didn't know, but I was in visiting a few days ago, and then the truck came. Right, the truck came in, and then you said, well, the truck's here, and then I walked back there, and to the back, and you're putting out inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And you're putting stickers on this and that and pulling stuff out of a box. And I look in the box. I said, well, is this how it comes? Every week it comes. And there's one box, 5 boxes, all these boxes, and all this stuff is in there. And you got to go through, find it, put the stick. I mean, that's a lot of effort. That's why you're focused. You have no choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, that's the reason. And you're doing it. Is either one of you has to do that, right?
Yeah.
So that's another reason that I imagine that you're so intimately familiar with absolutely everything in your store. So if somebody comes in and says, you got this widget, and I've seen you do this with people, and you're like, no. That's too old, or don't have that anymore. Yeah. But you're pretty much able to say yes or no to just about anything and knowing what's there. But it's because you've handled absolutely every single piece.
Yeah. I mean, literally, we have touched everything that comes into the store weekly.
Yeah.
You know, now if it's been there for, 6 years or something like that, buried in a corner somewhere, we might have forgotten it. But
sure.
Yeah, that's why I can usually say,
yes, it's here.
Yes, it's here, or no, we don't have that, because I know. I mean, I know what we're buying and getting, and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a whole process. Mondays is a whole process.
Mondays is a big day. It's like starting all over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, every Monday is a start all over day. Well, that's great. So you guys are having, we're still in winter, right? We're winter here. Mm-hmm. You're planning a trip down to a land of amusement, entertainment. So that's good. Do you have anything specifically you're hoping to find? Are there new things that you're wanting to do for the store this year, and you're going to go on a big hunt and say, oh gosh, we need to add this because so many people have been asking for it?
I know keys are probably on the list, but this is specifically the spring show, so it will be a big lawn and garden. Grills will be. We'll look at some of the new offerings for grills. Since we're an authorized Traeger dealer, we may stop by and see some of the new grills that Traeger has just launched. And see when they're going to be available in the warehouse. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we'll spend some time in lawn and garden. At the show, they usually have 2 storefronts that you can walk through. And we usually try to look at the mock-up storefronts and see how they present items.
Yeah, what they do is they have like a 6,000 square foot traditional hardware type store.
Right.
I mean, it'd be walking in and you'd be like, I could buy anything in here. It's all displayed, products there, and everything. And it's a great way to
get
walk
some
around
ideas.
and get ideas about how to merchandise things, or I didn't think about this assortment or whatever. She has to drag me out of there because I'm just like, I want to go look at this. She's like, look, we've looked at all this forever.
Right.
And then they'll have another one that's more like a little more like a lumber yard,
builder supply.
Mm-hmm. It's still hardware, but it caters just a little bit. But again, it's just to give you ideas and see. And
so do you come back and have little implementations of some of these things that you've seen? You've taken pictures and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we can do that. We've got the space. We can move stuff around and make that happen. Has that been beneficial for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, she has to talk me off of the ledges a lot of times because I'm like, oh, we can do this. Let's do this. Let's do it. And I'm ready to just jump in and start moving stuff around and do this and do that. And she's like, let's relax. Let's think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Let's do it in stages. You know,
It's because you were in the paint business, smelling all those fumes for years.
I wasn't making it,
You were,
but
yeah. Just what were you doing in the paint business? You were selling it. I mean,
I was the representative, and I would make sure that Lowe's had what they needed, and I would help customers, and you
opened the cans occasionally.
I made sure their planograms were right in the store.
Okay,
I made sure so that's where the merchandising part.
So you weren't in the plant.
No. Now I've been to the plant. I know how paint's made. I know all the science behind it and everything, and it's whatever.
Yeah,
but that was a past life. So
that's right. Well, it's okay. We won't dwell there.
But to her point, the keys is a big thing. The outdoor lawn and garden stuff will be a big thing, and then we're just always looking for that maybe something new that's
We used to take our son when he was younger. Mm-hmm. He went with us to a few shows.
He went to New Orleans and he went to Orlando,
Florida. Yeah.
Which one do you like best? Florida.
Yeah,
I think he liked them equally.
Yeah.
Did he?
Well, in New Orleans, you have the World War II museum,
right?
And it is really cool, and he really enjoyed that.
Really enjoyed that. So, but we would wander around with him, and the show in his eyes when he was younger, he always went towards the foods.
He went to all the foods,
the
snacks,
foods,
everything, and he would come
sample.
Right about here. Look, they gave me all this stuff, and they want me, and I'm like, okay, it's like a kid in a candy store.
A kid in a candy store.
And so he would bring us back and goes, Mom, you need to go back and try.
Did he ever order anything without you?
You can't do that. There are safeguards in place, not just for us, but there are safeguards in place where somebody cannot just order on,
Right.
There's a whole
process
to order, which
you have to be at a certain height before you can order.
Well, you got to give these people a certain. These are stickers. You have to give them stickers that have all this information on it.
So your son didn't have the stickers?
No, we would not. It's like gold.
We didn't give him the stickers. So.
Well, it sounds like he scored lots of samples anyway, so that's good.
And we're going to go with we're going to have a plan. Mm-hmm. We have a plan. I always go in with a plan to the show because I remember our first show. And it was in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. It was a little overwhelming.
It was very overwhelming. And
so you didn't have a plan?
Well, we did, but we didn't. I didn't know. I was like,
it was a new experience.
It wasn't much of a plan.
Right.
And then when we hit the show floor, it was just like, oh my gosh.
It was a lot.
Well, 1,000 vendors. That's enormous.
I mean, it is huge. And
all those beignets and coffee and stuff around that the sensory experience, the music.
The show itself inside, I mean, it's a climate controlled environment, Yeah. It's its own thing, So you get overwhelmed by all that. Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out what do you need, I'll just take it all. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Well, that was in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But we go in with a plan. I mean, I've already started. I'm making my list. I'm looking at all the things. I'm like, okay, we need to make sure we go by this booth.
Right.
We need to see this vendor. We need to see this vendor. We want to see this. Okay, and then you just try to take some time. Because you can walk yourself to death in these places, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, 1 million square feet, and you just wander around.
Certainly your feet could get tired.
So
they do.
Yeah.
Then we'll just wander around and want to look at, just what is there something that catches our eye? What's that all about?
So you give yourself an opportunity to explore.
Absolutely.
You got your list, your shopping list, and then you get that done, and then let's see if we can play.
Yeah, let's see if there's something that really interest us or makes sense.
What did you get last time when you went last time to New Orleans in that particular environment that you found something new and brought it back and that people liked or maybe didn't like? You remember?
Oh, gosh, that's been a while.
Isn't that when we bought the whiskey barrels, the planters?
That is when we
whiskey barrels.
So we had wandered up on this in the lawn and garden of this company that they were buying whiskey barrels from Jack Daniels, and they were making planters out of them. And you could buy the half planter, or they would cut the barrel either this way or long ways
when you lay it over,
and
right.
you lay it over. And so, I remember us doing that because that had sort of that old hardware store feel.
And Jack Daniels.
Yeah, and it was cool. They were charred on the inside,
right.
really cool. And we're like, yeah, we can do this. But I remember when
they came in.
When we came in, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again because I had to unload them by hand.
Very heavy.
It was a lot.
There was 2 pallets worth of them, and it was like something.
Did people like them?
We finally sold them. Yeah. We finally sold them.
It took a minute.
It took a minute because most a lot of people were like, why am I going to pay this for a? Well,
But they're authentic. So.
Right. It's the real thing, right? All right. So that's one you may not do again this year. But it was one you tried, and that's part of the market, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a total failure. I mean, it may not have been a huge success, but it wasn't a total failure.
Y'all stay close? You got a hotel close by, or
we can walk across the street.
Nice
Easy
place.
Walk, yes,
nice place.
It's a Hampton Inn and Suites.
They're good people.
They are great.
Nice.
I like Hampton Inns. We've stayed at a Hilton Garden. It was just, there's so many places to stay around this convention center. And being an Orgel dealer, they block off. They will give you special rates, but you got to get in early, because they get gobbled up. And we were obviously able to get.
You planned.
Yes.
You planned.
Yeah. We. I think it says it's like 0.3 miles from the actual. It's just across the street. It'd be like walking.
Yeah, from your shop to here.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
nice. So there's all sorts of fun waiting, and this is in March?
No, this is February.
Mid-February, yeah.
So mid-February. So in a few weeks from now, are you flying or driving?
Flying.
You're flying out of Charlotte or Greensboro?
We'll be flying out of Charlotte.
So you're flying out of Charlotte on the way to New Orleans to be induced by new purchases, beignets, the sound of New Orleans. New Orleans? What do you say, New Orleans or New Orleans?
New Orleans.
There are people that talk about that.
There are people, well, and I'll never forget our first show there. We went to this, I'll call it a seminar. Since we were
on how to say the name of the city.
We were brand new, but they were talking about what you're in New Orleans, and the gentleman was talking about. I think it might have been the president of the company. I can't remember. Anyway, he was talking about. There's a proper way to say it, and there's a way that people want to say it. And he said you don't say New Orleans because the locals get upset.
Because you got to get it just right.
It's New Orleans, New Orleans, whatever, but there are people butcher it.
Right.
And they will let you know real quick.
Yes.
It's sort of like the Appalachian and Appalachian,
right.
Yeah. If you say Appalachia, I'm going to throw apple at you.
Right. Well, people get touchy about lots of things. So we know that. And that's exciting. Well, I think this is just a wonderful visit because, there's a part of every business that you have to do to put the show on, right?
Right.
And there's a degree of that. That's why, when I think about businesses that are in historic buildings and they have that historic character to them. Yes, you're doing business, but it is a little bit different than everybody else because people expect a certain thing. I'm sure people come to your place, pick up something, or sometimes they just come in and look around because they're visiting. They take pictures, right? They take pictures of your shop. And, I'm sure you've been in lots of pictures, ended up on things that you had no idea, but there you are.
There we are.
And it's because you're in this place. Angela, you do a great job with on the social media side and sharing not only things that are in the store, but your photography and your blog posts. I love reading that because it's from your heart.
Thank you.
She does a great job with all that. I mean, it's amazing how good she is at that and how much time she puts into that.
Right. So is she a better writer than you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know my limitations.
Right.
And that is not one of. I am not. If something needs to be written and where it sounds more better,
yeah,
she's the one that needs to do it.
So everybody, come on over to Wilkes County Hardware, where Angela is less limited than Richard and has broader capacity, but can certainly make recommendations on just about everything. Right.
We do our best.
We can't wait to hear what happens. You kids have fun in New Orleans. Are any of your children going with you this year?
Nope.
Oh, does that open up the opportunity for a little romantic dinner maybe, and gazing in each other's eyes and talking about what a great trip it is? And pass me another beignet, please.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Take pictures. Not too many. Just a few. Guys, can't wait to hear about your purchases when you come back. And real glad you're keeping everybody safe and keeping the keys made and the fobs fixed and just getting everybody through the winter weather. Mm-hmm. We've had cold weather. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you for spending time with us on Life in Wilkes. We value you as a viewer and appreciate when you share this show with your friends and family. Be sure to bookmark our channel and join us again on the next episode of Life in Wilkes.